Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa has arrived in Abidjan, Ivory Coast on a 2-day state visit to the country. It's all part of his four-nation tour in the West African region. It's the first engagement of this caliber between the two nations since the establishment of diplomatic relations in the early 1990s. Ramaphosa and his counterpart, President Alassane Outtara, will today meet for talks before signing the memorandum of understanding on a number of areas, including defense, communication, technologies, mining and energy. For now, I'm joined on the line by Newzroom Afrika's senior reporter, Tumaole Mohlaoli, who is in Abidjan. Tumaole, very good morning to you. We saw President Cyril Ramaphosa concluding his visit to Nigeria, and he spoke about how he's concluding on a high note, saying that he believes that both nations have built a solid foundation to navigate further any future challenges that may arise. And let's talk about Nigeria before we start talking about where you are today.
Yes, in terms of Nigeria, very, very cordial welcome and something of a red carpet rolled out for President Cyril Ramaphosa and his delegation of business leaders from South Africa, as well as, of course, some cabinet ministers that have accompanied him. And in terms of the feedback that we got after the meeting between President Buhari and President Ramaphosa, both presidents full of praises for one another and full of praises and enthused about the outcome of the meetings and the bilaterals that were held between both of their delegations. President Buhari saying that he is looking forward to the Africa Free Trade Corridor, Free Trade Agreement. So this will basically be trade, a business intertrade corridor, business intertrade channels that have been created between South Africa, Senegal, Nigeria, as well as Ghana, and in terms of Ivory Coast. And in terms of this, that means that these countries will then begin to trade freely. And part of the trade is not only a trade when it comes to commerce, but it also involves intrapersonal trade. There have been agreements that have been reached that will foster relations between the youths of both countries. Both presidents saying that they are conscious that their biggest assets as nations will be their human capital, and they will be looking at fostering relations between young people to ensure that both regions begin to understand each other very well and begin to basically exchange cultures. So there will be youth exchange programs. There will be programs to ensure that both countries learn about each other. There will be cultural exchange programs with artists, as well as media exchange programs. So it is quite a wide range of international trade in Africa between the West African countries, particularly Nigeria and South Africa. Now, here in Cote d'Ivoire, we are expecting President Cyril Ramaphosa to have another busy schedule, and he will then be welcomed. He was welcomed, actually, by President Alassane Outtara. This was last night, and when he touched down here in Abidjan, of course, it was a full red carpet treatment again, where President Ramaphosa was then, given a military welcome, where he, inspected the military guard that was set up in his honor in the red carpet, and he and President Outtara then held, meetings last night, and today he will be taken across the various economic zones here in Ivory Coast to see with his delegation of course, business people and ministers, including, of course, our ministers in the finance sector, our ministers in the humanitarian sector, to see how these countries can forge together and what benefits this new free trade agreement or area will then be able to exploit from both nations in terms of investment from South Africa, but also in terms of exports that South Africa can then also capitalize on to ensure that it takes full advantage of this, what is anticipated as over $1 trillion economy when you look at the West Africa section.
Tumaole, President Cyril Ramaphosa is essentially on his second country of a four-nation tour to West African countries. I mean, why now, especially looking at Cote d'Ivoire, because it's his first, it's a historic move because it's his first visit there. Why now, looking at the timing of his tour and the focus on the continent?
Well, now is the time, according to President Cyril Ramaphosa, saying that he had anticipated to do this tour earlier, but then, of course, COVID-19 broke out, and that effectively took his wings, so to speak, and kept his ambitions to come out for this West Africa tour. He said that he had been in conversation with the West African presidents specifically, because West Africa is one of those regions where South Africa has not been able to break into economically as much as we would like to. Yes, South Africa has got a footing in West Africa, but certainly felt that it could do more in terms of international, by international I mean between the nations, specifically on a diplomatic level, but also in intra-trade. Again, eyeing the fact that there's a potential of 1 trillion rand of trade that could be opened up by this new corridor that President Ramaphosa is forging. COVID-19 struck, and that basically curtailed those ambitions while both countries, Senegal, South Africa, Cote d'Ivoire, South Africa, as well as Nigeria and South Africa and the other countries that President Ramaphosa is set to visit, dealt with the pandemic. Now, when the pandemic
unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there for now, as, of course, our senior reporter, Tumaole Mohlaoli, is following President Cyril Ramaphosa, who has now arrived in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, on a two-day state visit to the country as part of his four-nation tour in the West African countries. Now,